Welcome back to another tier list where this time we'll be looking at Season 0 and all the changes that is occurring in this patch. Now, some of you might think, but Tom, there weren't really that many balance changes. You're right, but there were system changes, and those needs to be looked at if you want to be efficient in the current ranked system with how the ranked system has changed, but also how the game system has changed. So without further ado, I'll get right into it. To start us off, what is important is to know what are the changes that I'm talking about. Number 1, rank changes. Now, ranked are more focusing on wiping squads. So for example, if you kill 2 members of a team, but they revive again later, you get 0 points. But on the other hand, if you kill 2 members of a team and then another team finish off the last 2 without them getting revived, then you guys get points and the enemy gets points, but they get more because they wiped the team. So finishing teams are more important. This means that, survivability, being able to stay alive, especially for resurgence as you're auto-reviving in day 1 and 2, making sure that your team can survive a lot longer. And the second thing, we have a new hunter. We'll get to Bibo. He also changes a few things up here. But what is important is, first of all, how do you deal with this ranked system and the system changes with ranked and resurgence, which is the main thing. When we get onto Bishop, Bishop is in a good spot. She has good mobility, good chasing possibilities, not like the top echelon of everyone, but I think she's a good start to put in the A tier with overall good damage, hasn't been made any major changes to, so she's in a pretty good spot overall. Then over to Brawl, the hot topic. I personally have always been the thing of Brawl is kind of overrated. The reason why is that I feel a lot of people are just frustrated about him, which I think is totally fine. He has a frustrating kit, but I don't think he's strong by any means. He has a lot of tools, but if you know how to deal with those tools, I do think you will have a lot better of time. He did get like a slight nerf. It didn't really do much to him, like if you look at the big picture, but I do think his survivability, his chasing potential, and 1v1 potential is really good for ranked. So I would probably put him like top B, like bottom A. I could like argue him being like a bottom A tier because of like how the ranked system works for him and with resurgence. So I do think he fits the meta really well right now. We'll see. I'll put him bottom A for now, and then I'll probably like fill in things between there. But then over to Celeste. Celeste struggles a little bit more. Her mobility is good, but her mobility is great with powers. So she's kind of like negated behind having good powers to help her mobility, but her survivability is okay. She has decent damage, but her kit is kind of struggling at the moment. I do think she needs to upgrade a lot of her level 3 abilities, which are kind of underwhelming. But she's not bad by any means, but I do think there's a lot of other hunters I would rather have on the team than a Celeste. Then we go to Luna. The better you get of the game, the worse Aluna becomes. Like, I don't think she's, like, when you look at the changes, her mobility and survivability is pretty good, but, like, she's gonna be bottom B tier. I don't think she's, like, C. We'll get someone here, and Felix is sadly the one. Felix is really struggling at the moment. Being a melee hunter, his mobility is pretty decent, but he lost his boobs, which is really important for his kit for playing against certain hunters and matchups that are now losing because of him not being able to cancel out mobility and etc. And his output numbers aren't really that high, so I do think Felix is one of the hunters struggling at the moment. So if you do want to climb in ranked, might not be the one I would be suggesting to you guys. And Ghost, he has been getting like buff off the buff like in just recent changes. So he's like slowly but surely gotten stronger. I do think he's in a pretty good spot overall. His power level is high, but he struggles because he doesn't have too much mobility. Now you can do some Beebo tech where you shift and then jump afterwards. So you want to be doing it the opposite compared to a lot of other people. But I do think that his power level is really high, but you need to be pretty good at him. But so like he's like, it's hard, but I do think I'll probably put him like bottom A with this. I wouldn't be happy with myself if I put him in B tier with how strong he is. But he's hard to play in this kind of a meta. But his power level is good, so it's like a trade-off. Then getting on to Hudson, I don't know, it's kind of bad. But I'll probably honestly have a Hudson over Felix at this point, but I've always said that Hudson is bad. I don't think the nerfs that he got earlier like did too much pain, but like his mobility is really bad for this patch. His survivability is extremely low, so I think he'll be struggling a lot in ranked. Jhin, I think is kind of a joke. I think he has a lot of one-shot potential, but is really negated by people just being aware. His big strength is spiking over the biz. This is where he like really shines, and his mobility is good. So his survivability and being able to just help your team be alive in the game is great. I'll probably honestly have a Jhin over an Luna, but I do think Jhin is like pretty bad hunter at the moment. Jewel, the biggest winner of this patch. I like, after, as I talked about earlier, Oath got nerfed, like she's still on top. Like her damage, her stats, her mobility is good. Probably the actually strongest hunter in the game right now, just by pure metrics of what like her kit has power level wise. Now, of course, if you want to argue, but like Brawl can 1v1, yeah, Brawl can 1v1 anybody, but like you're playing a 4v4 game. If you end up in a 1v1, then you played bad. Kingpin, it's in a pretty good state, like mobility-wise, survivability. If you do play the double tech, I do think you have a lot more carry potential as well, which I build. I do think that he is also a lot better because a lot more people are playing Brawl and Jhin. So him being able to neutralize a lot of the stronger hunters that people want to do just for survivability makes it some he gets more value. I'll probably say that Bishop can bring more to a team just kit-wise, but I do think that KP is in a pretty good state overall. I won't call him broken or anything. Myth, I think Myth is really strong. I think Myth is an undervalued hunter. She has gotten buff after buff in like recent history. Nothing happened this patch, but I do think she's in a really good spot. Her mobility is pretty good. You know, she has the mini exciting nerf with if enemy has damage soul, you can't really run through walls, which is kind of funny, but a niche little thing. But her like damage output is really high. I think her kit is pretty good, peeling. She's a little bit harder to play in this kind of a meta where everything is very fast-paced and chaotic, but I do think she's pretty good overall. Then Oath. Also, I said I had him down in like B tier overall, but also with Oath, where I think he becomes better because of, for example, like Jhin and Brawl, as I mentioned, becomes more picked, then Oath gets more value. Now he has a lot more punish windows. It is a lot easier to punish Oath compared to others, so I'd probably have him up here. I would rather have a KP on my team than an Oath, but I do think he has a lot of negating powers, but he also has a lot of things which can counter him now compared to earlier when he was mega broken. Then over to Shiv. I do think Shiv is struggling in this patch. Like, she has good kiting potential with her cartwheel reset with LMB, but like with everything being so chaotic, you need to be really, really good at Shiv to be actually getting value with her. So I'd probably say that she's like down here somewhere. I do think that she's not weak by any means. I do think she's just a bad hunter that doesn't provide much to the team play of herself. And then Shrike. We talked about this before. I don't need to elaborate, guys. You don't pick Shrike. We talked about this. Void, our poor boy, like his power level is like up here. Like, let's be honest, his power level. But he just struggles in this meta where everything is so fast-paced. But I can't bring my heart to put him in C tier because he's not bad by any means, but he's just so immobile. But if you play around him, God, I want to put him there, but like you get what I mean. He struggles a lot in this meta because everything is so fast-paced. He can survive a lot better because of resurgence, but in later stages, like I think with more teams alive, he potentially, if you play around Void, can provide a lot more. But he's a really, really hard hunter. But he's so cool and he's so strong, guys. So don't sleep on the pick, but I can understand if you don't want to play him. Then over to Seth. Seth is still really strong. I think he has high healing numbers still. They nerfed his RMB cast time, which I think is very good, but his mobility is extremely high. If you know how to be up, learn the B hop on Seth. It is very, very important to know. So I would honestly probably have him up here still. I think Seth is a very, very strong hunter at the moment, but you know, play around him, make sure you have range and good mobility. And then for the last speed, Bibo, which everybody's probably waiting for. I think he's the most fun hunter I have like ever played. But his power level is okay. I won't call him bad. A lot of people are calling him like shit bad. But that's because he's a hard hunter. He's a very hard hunter to master. There's a lot to his kit, which I find very interesting. So if you think he's outright trash, I think you're maybe just bad at Bibo. He has a lot of potential, but you see, he has a lot of counterable stuff. Like his mobility is really low. And like, but he can use his ult. Yeah, but if you use your ult to get away or like his mobility tool, you lose things of your kit. You can also use the grapple hook on R&B as a mobility tool, but it's really hard to time these kind of things. I think he has a lot of potential. I would say that he's probably like somewhere in the middle there. I would honestly put him like decently high B for now. He has a lot of potential. I think he has a lot of surprise elements, which can also be pretty good for the first few weeks where people don't know how to play against him. But I think he is like pretty okay overall. On the lower echelon, there's a lot of hunters I would rather have, but I think he has a lot of potential if you really learn Beebo. He's really, really fun, he's really, really cool, and I'm really happy with him as a hunter overall. So, I hope this helped you guys. I hope this will help your climb in a new ranked system. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.